This is why I train in martial arts. Okay, on Practical Combat Martial Arts channel, I'm going to put a link to the video I'm talking about in the description. This video is partially inspired by the comments I've had with him on that channel. If I'm interpreting it correctly, he's in a disagreement with someone who says that forms are more important than sparring. And he doesn't agree with that because he feels like people need to train against resistance and something that resembles, something real in order to learn how to fight and fight well. And I'm going to say that I used to agree with that 100%, and I don't anymore. And I really do think the forms are more important, and I can tell you why. First of all, unless your job is to fight people, that means you're a cop, you're a soldier, member of the military, or you're a professional fighter, or you're going on to be an Olympian, you don't need to know how to fight. You don't. You don't need to know how to fight. You need to know how to defend yourself. You don't need to know how to fight. The way I'm defining fighting is something that looks like a long, drawn-out sparring session. That's not what regular people need. That's something I had to get through my own head because I used to be on the spar tip. But that's not what regular people need. Regular people need to learn how to end a violent confrontation as quickly as possible. At most, what we might need to do is learn how to restrain someone. Like if we're a teacher and the students get out of hand and they come after us. If you're a teacher, you need to learn how to protect yourself so the student can't hurt you and maybe possibly restrain the student until security gets there. Now, I'm going to say this too. This is going to sound contradictory, but it's not. I think school teachers need to take martial arts so they can defend themselves if they're attacked by a student. But I don't think that school teachers should be fighting because that's not your job. Your job is to teach them. I don't care if you look as strong as I do and you are a man. People want to expect you to do it, but it's not right because that's not your job. It's not your job to fight people. It's the police's job to fight people. It's combat athletes' job to fight people. It's the military's job to fight people. It's security's job at the club to fight people. It's not our job to fight people. A lot of us can fight and we want to learn how to fight, but that's not our job. That's why the main thing we need is forms. One thing I agree with practical martial arts about is forms are a very good, important first step. But this is the problem. See, a lot of people, they don't want to do forms like they should so long enough that you could throw them away and no longer need them anymore. They don't want to get to that point. They don't. They want to come in there and fight as soon as possible. As a matter of fact, it's so bad. I have to have most students, not my toddlers, anybody 6 and up that trains with me, if they don't do some type of sparring on the first day of class, they don't think the class is worth anything. You may think that they're smart. No, that's stupid. What they really should do is learn how to move with no resistance and move correctly. That's what the forms will teach you, how to move and use your body correctly. Once you can do that with no resistance, excuse me, then you need resistance. Cloud on resistance. Say, okay, you did, let's just take simple, the first two moves of the form damn gun. What we call knife hand block, and then to attack punch. Fine. You learn how to, this is what should happen, but we can't do it that way because people will quit. You do that till you're sick of it. Do that, perfect form, and then you come in with the attack punch. Should be able to do that. Then have a classmate, okay, fine, we're going to apply resistance. They're going to do X. Have them throw a wild punch. Start slow so you can get the timing. Or they throw 2 wild punches. Whatever type of attack it is, even tackle. I wouldn't necessarily use this against somebody trying to take my legs because that's up high and they're attacking down low. But have them attack you like that. Say, try it when they're trying to attack you. So you know, working it out, oh, this doesn't work because it's a different level, and this is why I wouldn't use that response right away. What could I do? Well, if I get tackled, could I possibly still go from the ground? You could. How would I do that? You know, would I do this at the eye and come through with that? Whatever. Get them off me or use this to push them off? You know, how would I have to modify the move? Same 2 moves in different contexts. But you see, you need to know how to do the form correctly in order to pull that move off correctly. See, I don't think a lot of people are having problems using their martial arts in a real fight because they haven't been practicing against resistance per se. It's that they haven't been practicing enough. Or you have to rush them along and get them into fighting as soon as possible because they're tactile learners. They just don't get it. I didn't get it either. I'm telling you, I didn't get it either. I used to think if you ain't sparring, you ain't doing anything. That's class. That's what class is. This is the real part of class. That other stuff is just part of the tradition. This is the real part of class. No. The real part of the class is when they're telling you to do your forms. And you learn the moves of the forms. And then they should at some point be able to tell you how to apply those moves against someone. Or have you come up with your own ways of applying the moves to someone. Now, it's possible that the instructor may not know how to apply the moves of the forms, him or herself. That is possible, but what's also another possibility is you're not developed enough for them to trust you with the information on how to use those moves in the forms to really hurt someone. Or, like I get a lot of times, you ain't practicing. You didn't practice enough so that you can remember how to do this when there's no pressure. So how are you going to be able to do this move or any movement when there is pressure? And here's another thing, especially for us as we get older. You should do forms for a while and then do a lot of sparring for a while. But at some point, you cannot keep taking hits to the head, to the face, to the body without it debilitating you or doing damage to you. Regular people do not need to be getting punch-drunk Alzheimer's dementia because we've been beaten up like we have been in 85 boxing matches. If you spar too much, you're doing more harm than good. Just like when you exercise too much. Every once in a while, I have an injury that comes up every once in a while, and I hurt the knee. It's not my fault I got injured in the first place. I got hit by a Jeep. And I have to work hard so I don't gain any more weight than I have. But I can't go too hard because then I'm debilitating myself. And how am I going to be super effective person if I'm too injured to move? Now, sparring, once your body feels what it's like and you know you have some experience doing stuff with resistance against an opponent, you don't necessarily need sparring anymore. You should go back to the forms and learn more movement so you can visualize how to handle yourself. Because again, we shouldn't be fighting. If we're not professional fighters, we shouldn't be fighting. My day job is a software tester. I have seen people, it's in IT. People have been able to do IT into their 80s. I've worked with some guys that are 70, 80 years old. They're still doing IT. How How many professional fighters do you know that are still fighting in their 70s? Even if they can still move, how many of them are still doing it? No. Once you learn how to fight well, you should go back to the forms and use your visualization. And every once in a while, come back in there and spar. Once in a blue moon. Or something, but you can't be going hard all the time because you're going to destroy your body. You're literally going to destroy your mind. Okay? How can I throw a punch or block if I got shoulder damage because somebody wanted to throw me down in the name of keeping it real? And that happened to me one time. I got thrown. I was like, it's a good thing that I know all this stuff that I did from yoga and I just pester my doctors so I can be able to pick my arm up like this, because I couldn't pick my arm up like this. Look, I couldn't do that. I couldn't pick my arm up. I could do this. So if somebody swings something at my head and I can't get out the way fast enough, I couldn't even pick my arm up to protect my head. How am I going to shoot you if I can't get my arm up high enough to aim? But this is all how far I can move my shoulder, my arm. How am I going to shoot you? I'm going to shoot you in the toes? You have to be able to move enough so that you can protect yourself. And if you spar too much, if you put too much emphasis on fighting, you're going to injure yourself in your training, so that when it's time for you to defend yourself, you can't do it. Look at it like this. I'm going to use my two classic metaphors that I'm going to end this video because it's getting long. When we learn how to shoot guns, do we shoot at each other? We don't shoot at each other when we're learning how to use guns. But yet we feel that guns work. But we don't shoot at each other when we learn how to use guns, because we don't want to die. Because shooting at your opponent, shooting at your partner would be detrimental to learning how to use the gun. There's no need for you to shoot at another person. You should shoot at the target, and then you can have things where, people throwing cans up, they're skeet shooting, all that type of stuff. You can do adrenaline response scenarios where they use fake ammunition. I think it's called simunition. Have the other person dressed up or something. They're coming at you, and you can practice that way. But everybody can't afford to do that. You still have to learn how to shoot the little dot on a stationary target first. Okay? Don't tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. When I was in the reserves, we were supposed to be training to go off the war, and we didn't shoot at each other to learn how to fight in combat. We did bayonet training. We did bayonet training against a wooden dummy. They didn't say, okay, recruits, take your bayonet and go stab each other. No, we didn't stab at each other to learn bayonet training. We had those padded things, those pupil sticks and helmets and padding and stuff. We went at each other with those. When you learn how to use a knife, you don't actually slice the few knife lessons I've had, the few knife seminars I've been to, they never handed me a knife and said, okay, Cecil, go cut your partner. You were just learning how to do cut number 1. Now go cut him across the face with it. Ooh, a knife? Ooh, look, I'm bleeding. A knife really works. It really cuts. Nobody does that. That's why sparring is not everything. The forms are more important than sparring. Because you should know the forms first so you can reach the highest levels of sparring that you're going to get to. The highest levels of fighting. But keep in mind, you should not be fighting anyway. If you're not a police officer, if you're not a combat sport athlete who's making money professionally, if you're not a professional fighter, does that say military? If you're not in the military, if you're not working security, if you're not a bouncer, if you're not a bodyguard, You shouldn't be learning how to fight. You should be learning self-defense. You should be trying to end your confrontations with people, ideally in one move. That's the goal. Or in no moves. It's even better. Between 0 to 4 movements of the body. That's it. No more than that. You start going up to 5 or more, you're possibly going to get hurt or sued. And see, another thing too, there's so many things that forms teach you, and then I gotta cut this. Teach you balance, coordination, strength, flexibility, endurance, self-control, focus. Those are just 7 things I just rattled off. Those are all attributes that will make you better fighter. And I know you don't believe it, but it's true. Forms allow you to practice deadly moves that you can't practice on another person because you would maim or kill them. Unless you practice deadly maiming or killing, hand-to-hand moves, once you know and you can associate what the form actually, the movements can be applied. And the reason why you may not be learning them right now is because your instructor asked you to practice the form between last class and the current class. You didn't, so then you forgot, and then the instructor has to go back and explain it to you again. And then they got to go back and explain it to you again because you won't practice. So, yes, sparring is important. The forms really are more important. You guys probably think that people that work out in a martial arts school that's traditional, all they do is strike the air. That's not all they do. They may mostly strike the air, but that is because you need to learn how to do the movements correctly. Also, you should be, when you do spar in these types of environments, we talk about self-control. Self-control will be the reason why when they get into a skirmish with somebody, they can stop. They don't think that they always have to maim or kill the person. They can stop. You won't appreciate their self-control until you're on the receiving end of having to rely on them to control themselves to keep from putting you in the hospital or the grave. So you ain't got to believe the forms are important. You don't have to believe that they're more important than sparring, but they really are. Well, I'm going to say this. They really are more important, but I will even say that they are just as important. But I definitely don't think that sparring is more important. No. Peace.
Call 301-894-6616. You want to find out more? Go to cecilryu.org, cecilryu.org. Peace.